suffer from my art. Now it's your turn. It's been unseasonably hot in that
Callie
town.
is getting killed.
Really? Yeah, I saw that.
And I just saw that Cheap Trick had to cancel an outdoor concert in Arizona for unseasonably warm temperatures.
Wow. I mean, I'm hoping that Clearwater still exists.
Oh God, another hurricane going straight for them.
Yeah, really.
My folks used to live in Clearwater.
Did they?
Yeah, and they sold it and moved back to Ohio to be closer to my sister and her kids and stuff.
Right.
And I'll bet they're glad for that. Did I hit record yet? Yeah, I did.
I remember, we were in Clearwater listening to Muddy Waters blues music, and now it's kind of reversed. Muddy Waters. Yeah,
I can't imagine living in Florida for a lot of reasons, but
yeah,
a big reason, man, you just, for all these months, you just have to be on edge that you're going to have to uproot everything and evacuate. And that's just, and now, the insurance companies don't want to insure those areas.
I heard the story of a little old lady whose husband was a rail worker, part of that Key West, rail line going all the way down the Keys.
Yeah.
And then they ended up buying a little house after the job was done down in the Keys for like $30,000, and they retired. And then he passed on and left her the house. But now that house is worth over 1.5 million, and she can't insure it because you're supposed to put like 10% in escrow of the house value before you can even get insurance. And she's like, I can't afford that. Last thing I know, I was a little old lady with a small state pension.
No, it's awful. I have a friend who who bought a house in the Burbank Hills.
Oh, yeah.
A $2.4 million house. Beautiful house. And he had a lot of success writing music for Storage Wars was the main show that he had.
Okay.
Without even thinking about it, he didn't bother to shop insurance because he lived in the foothills below that house previously for years, and his insurance was, normal rate. Well, when it came time to insure it, and he bought it cash, so he didn't have to have the insurance set up ahead of time like you would with a mortgage company.
Right.
$70,000 a year to insure that house.
Jesus.
And, because it's right up at the top where the fires are. And Callie's bailing on, those are, sorry, the insurance companies are bailing on California and all those areas, and they're bailing on Florida too.
I know. I mean, it's going on right around where we live. I mean, we're lucky we get insurance. By law, they have to provide insurance, but the rates, on the other hand, are astronomical. Some people are literally going, insurance bankrupt just because they can't.
Is it crazy where you are, the insurance?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, we're lucky because we're in downtown.
That's what I was going to think. So yours isn't too bad.
Well, not too bad, but apparently before I bought this place, we're actually in a floodplain. There's the San Lorenzo River just around the corner. And then that floods on certain times of the year. It's all biblical. Whoever wrote that book should have made a movie, and it's called Life.
Jeez. It makes Vegas, we deal with that extreme heat here. But we really don't have any other bullshit to deal with. Yeah, but and the heat.
It's what extreme means. It's like, it's when the average becomes 118, that means that the extremes is 135.
Well, we haven't seen that, but we did get up to like 118 this year. An average summer is probably 104, but 104 does not feel like,
yeah, I know,
104 in other areas. Remember when we were in the city and it would get to be in the high 90s with that humidity? I mean, that was far worse than 105 here.
Yeah.
And you
It's
just
all
learn to
going
live
weird
with it.
though.
So,
It's
I
very
mean, and
weird.
one
Very
big
weird.
earthquake too, and I'll have oceanfront property. So
Yeah.
there's that
That's
too.
going to be a massive one. Well, we'll be on the
I
new
know.
Catalina Island too. Then I'll be out in the
Uh,
islands.
Catalina Island, what a beautiful place.
It'd be like moving to Hawaii without going anywhere.
Oh
Oh,
man.
we're an island now.
So
Yeah,
how have
no,
you been? You were a little under the weather.
yeah, I was under the weather, but I'm all right now. I'm
Yeah.
back, ready to be back under the lights, like
Yeah.
a meal in a Denny's waiting to be served. And the
Yeah.
waitress is taking her time, and I'm grilling under the hot plate.
How was France? We tried to tape something in France and the
Yeah,
delay was unmanageable.
the Wi-Fi was sucky back there. Oh, it was
So
lovely. It
there
was
was this
lovely.
huge delay and we kept stepping over each other because we couldn't get it right. And then, I happened to be watching CNN later that night and they were doing an interview with a guy over in Beirut and it was the same thing. It was like commentator asked the question and then there's like a
Yeah,
7-second delay. And Cy and I could not get the hang of that when we were trying to tape. So we just scrapped it.
yeah. I mean, in the end, it was like I thought I'd just enjoy the moment I'm in.
Yeah, you
It,
should.
it was good to see my daughter Ines again,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
she lives in the middle of this forest where there's no internet, as we know, but amazing chanterelle mushrooms popping up everywhere. So we went out picking mushrooms and had a huge,
Oh.
delicious mushroom plate after that.
Any magic ones?
Yeah, but she doesn't do any of that, so we
Yeah.
weren't
No,
looking
but
at those.
you.
No, not me.
No.
I've given
Okay.
up that. Some microdosing. Those days are over.
I tried recently these microdosing gummies. They don't really do anything, you know?
No, well, because they call it microdosing, but to get through your thick pith of a consciousness is going to take a torpedo pill, mate.
I'm afraid to take more than one because I don't like the effects of cannabis and stuff,
Yeah, no. I mean, in the end, it's all like everyone's vying for a market share of something that's going to do you good.
Yeah.
I think nature, does you the best. And
Mm-hmm.
I read a line the other day that said, nature doesn't waste. But then I started thinking, well, shit, humans really do waste. And then it got me on this whole thing. I remember reading a book on waste and how 30 to 40% of everything that we produce and put in the fridge ends up getting wasted, gets thrown away. And then the whole downside of that is the landfills and the climate effect of that. And then we have hunger and all this. And we all can do it in private. The thing is, we all go shopping and you're in there and you go, oh, those look lovely. Maybe I'll eat those on the 8th day of this week that I won't have time for. And then you kind of get to it and then it's like rotting and it has a face on it going, told you wouldn't eat me. And then you end up throwing it out because it stinks. But there's no one there to hold you accountable. And you do it again and again. And I've done it several times.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's the intention is great, but the actual execution of it is kind of, and so I'm trying to really pay attention to that. And it just got me on that whole thing of the environmental waste. And I just brought up some figures yesterday that were quite chilling. It's like 30 to 40% of food supply gets wasted. That's 92 billion pounds of food, equivalent to 145 billion meals that are thrown away each year. That's in just the United States. So globally, there's over 1 billion meals of edible food thrown away every day. Right? It's like, and then when it was Live Aid and Band Aid, and we were all, I mean, we've discussed this in a past podcast about how we innocently try and help, and the good intention is a great thing, but the other side of what we're dealing with is this kind of unconscious humanity where we're evolving at such a rate that we are thinking we're amazingly tech savvy and libertarians and free and easy, and we're all watching these stupid ads for an election, vote for me, and nothing's going to change. It's our own habits that are going to sink us. And I think we're kind of like You know, when they say we have no enemy in the food chain, yeah, we were our own enemy in the food chain. We're here to kind of create and destroy. And I don't think nature had a design for that. Maybe species have come and gone, but it's a strange thing. And I don't know whether many of the people watching us think about this thing every day. I know I kind of like touch on
It's,
it.
it's not something you think about every day, most people anyway. And, I remember speaking to a friend of mine who owned a restaurant in New York, and he said the amount of waste was unbelievable.
Yeah, right.
Even a well managed restaurant can't predict, exactly what is going to be used. And I mean, obviously, there are places that are better at it than others, but even the best of places apparently have a huge amount of waste.
Yeah. I mean, they'll have something trendy on the menu that nobody wanted that day, and they're
Right.
not going to serve it tomorrow. So it's like, sorry, mate, you're in the bin, Solomon. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why you should
terrible.
just drink beer. It stays in the barrels.
Yeah. Stays fresh,
Jeez.
but even that goes off.
Yeah, I guess it does, right?
If you leave a Guinness out on the bar for 20 minutes, it goes sour, according to the
Really?
real Irish guys. I mean, you've got to, when you order a pint, it takes 10 minutes to pour and settle and all that. You've got 10 minutes to down it. Otherwise, it's like not good. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, really. So anyway, so that's what got me going in this today. And then I was starting to think about, the sell by date thing. People,
Yeah, I think have we touched on that before?
we did, but it was the one on the podcast that didn't upload properly from
Oh,
France.
right, okay.
Yeah, and I was just saying that that was started by some smart aleck and Marks and Spencers in the early 70s when they decided to start selling food. And they went, well, this would be a good idea if we could teach our employees to put the new biscuits behind the old biscuits so that the customer will come in and buy the old biscuits first.
Right.
No, the customer's going to come in and rummage to the back of the
I do it every
stash
time.
and take the newest biscuit.
I'm ashamed to say. I
Right.
do.
And then you get it home and the biscuit like, ooh, it's a day over expiration. Oh, I'm not eating that. I could die from it. But basically what it means is you've got no recourse insurance to sue someone if you get sick from eating it.
My wife thinks that all the sell by dates are bullshit.
Well, they are, except on fish and meat and
Well,
cheese.
right. And I tend to be the guy that was like, oh no. Like I went through a bunch of salad dressings and sauces in my fridge and they were all expired, but there was nothing wrong with them.
Yeah. Well, some people's fridges are like museums. You go, I've seen some fridges around at my friend's houses where you kind of go in there. It's like, my God, they've changed the label on this bloody thing 6 times since this bottle was last in fashion. But it just becomes overwhelming. And I think probably the day when they invented the refrigerator was a great invention, but they didn't foresee this kind of hoarding of food and then the leftovers because you order so much. When you get one plate of food, then there's the doggy bag. Did you ever go to the Palm in New York? I remember coming out of there, the steaks. This is when I used to eat meat. The steaks were like the size of my upper body. And it would turn up on a plate and you'd only eaten like your left tit's worth. And then you would take the rest home in a doggy bag. And there was this homeless guy outside about a few steps up from the door. And he'd be like, go on. You might as well give me that. You're going to put that in the fridge. And in 2 days, you're going to see my face saying you should have given it to me. So give it to me now. And so this guy would be like amassing all these sides of well-cooked meat. And so did his buddies, I reckon. So in a way, that was kind of recycling. And some of the bigger cities with that doggy bag system. And in Santa Cruz, we had these special little platforms down the high street where you kind of deposit your doggy bag on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And they get ferried away. And that was pretty good, But I don't know. It's a confused thing. I don't want to accuse myself of doing anything wrong, but I do it daily. And I think,
that's a better use of it than it's sitting in your fridge going, never to be touched again, which
It
is what
is, right?
happens sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that stuff it away, like, those Chinese food containers, they're like in the
Ugh.
back. And then they've got the sort of the telltale, the chrome, the silver foil one with the flat lid, and it's got something pressed on it. And there's like decades of meals stashed in there,
Ugh.
fossilized. And then there's other people that keep their fridge spotless. I guess the most efficient way of living is to live alone, manage a fridge alone.
Mm.
But then why bother cooking for yourself if you live alone? You might as well
Yeah,
just
no,
go
I
out and
don't.
order
I
one
don't.
meal.
When I'm by myself here, I go to that Foodie Fit thing, and it's
Yeah.
you order them today, they deliver them tomorrow, or you can pick them up.
Yeah.
I eat to survive, so I don't have a lot of that kind of. I'm not a foodie, so
Right.
my fridge is pretty clean, and I tend to just. I mean, there still is some waste,
Yeah.
certainly, like, especially when it comes to like vegetables and things like that you don't eat in time. And
Right.
but I
Yeah.
don't tend to hoard. I do have one friend who, when you work in these casinos in town, they have what's called an EDR, which is an employee dining room,
Yeah. I've seen
and
them.
employees eat there for free, and contractors and stuff. And because the premise being that the casinos don't want you leaving during your shift. It's a security thing for them. When you work at a casino, you got to check in the whole thing. So I have a friend who works at a casino, and you go over there, and she's got 9 big styrofoam to go containers stacked up on the on the kitchen table.
Wow.
And it's like, I don't know if there's food in them. I haven't had the courage to look.
Have you checked what she's bringing back into work with them? She's bringing yesterday's food that she didn't eat to recycle back into the
I do
buffet.
not check anything. No.
Yeah. Actually, we've eaten in those employee dining rooms when we get signed up for a casino.
Right.
Sometimes they give us meal tickets for the big fancy buffet out there, or some of the
Right.
restaurants. But other times they give you the getting there for the 2 boiled eggs and whatever
a
it
lot
is.
of times, when I was tour managing MJ Live, they would, you'd get a credit at some of these casinos that you couldn't possibly use. Like,
Yeah.
they would give you $100 a day to spend
Yeah.
on food. And so you could go to the best restaurant in there and spend 60 of it. Right. Yeah. And then, we would end up in the gift shop just accumulating shit to spend the rest of the money. And then there are places, like you say, where you get the EDR. We were at this particular place in Detroit. What's it called? Soundboard. The Detroit Motor Casino.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, nice.
what a great EDR. That was an EDR you wouldn't mind eating at all the time.
Right.
A step above the average.
Well,
at least it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
If you treat people well, they tend to sort of stick around, right, as staff.
Yeah, and they would, the GM was like, you guys can use, it's open 24 hours a day, which is great because, the kids, the dancers, they eat, they'll kill you. They'll eat you out of house and home. They're young. They burn thousands of calories in the show.
And he still managed to look like twigs.
Yeah, exactly. You go in there 24 hours a day. Their only rule was, don't take anything out. But
right.
So those are, that was a good thing for them. But
yeah,
some of the EDRs, man, that I've been to are like,
yeah. I mean, it's just, when you say you only you eat to survive, and there's that whole, that thing, I eat to live, or I live to eat, as the French like to say about themselves. There's one of the things about having just come back from France, and my head is kind of full of it, is that whether you're a high earner or a low earner, you have a good sense of the qualities of food that are presented to you. At least the general public in France has been introduced to the finer things that are introduced through the mouth. And like pâtés and different cheeses. This is a nation that has over 800 cheeses and the different styles of bread. And then on top of that, they also get a 2-hour lunch or an hour and a half lunch where they go home, they rush home. They have 2 rush hours a day. They have the one in the morning to get to work. Then they have the one rushing home for lunch. and then the one sleepily with a sort of catatonic state rushing back to work, which is why they have more accidents, I think, on the road.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, they all know, that thing of being passed down, how to make a salad dressing. You don't need to sort of get a manufactured with a million ingredients. It's just olive oil, vinegar, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper. You got a nice dressing. Makes you want to eat salad that you've grown in your backyard. So there's a lot more of that going on. And then the simple things of bread. And every village has its little baker. And you can always tell when the baker's wife is having an affair because the bread's gone bad. And so the rest of the village are all like curious as to try and get her back on track. Listen, you've got to leave this plonker. Our bread is bad.
Wow.
Leave the man and get back to your husband right now.
That's interesting because my mother is on this crazy kick. She must have seen a television show. And she was going on and on the other day when I was on the phone with her about how the ingredients in a lot of U.S. food are banned in Europe.
Yeah.
And she was talking about like the difference between the amount of ingredients that are in a bottle of ketchup here and a bottle of ketchup there. And the more she's dug into this and researched it, which I think is amazing, a woman in her mid 80s is still so curious about things. She just doesn't want to eat anything anymore. Like she's horrified by the things that are allowed in our food here that are not allowed in the vast majority of Europe.
Yeah, I mean the FDA, I don't know what those letters stand for anymore. Food and Drug Avoidance.
It's all lobbies, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't even go to food too. It's like I like to buy my jeans, and there's nothing more American than a pair of Levi jeans, apparently, right? But if you look at the word denim, it actually means denim, which means from the town of Nîmes, which is a French southern town where the guy used to make fabric that sailors would use and workers. So Levi Strauss, migrated to America and started his denim company. Well, Levi jeans there's 3 Levi jean styles. There's Levi jean USA, Levi jean Europe, and Levi jean Asia. Well, I don't know what 32 inches in America is different from 32 inches in France, because 32 inches in France actually fit me. Actually 31.
Yeah.
But over here, 32, I'm like floating around.
Really?
And I'm like, and what it is that in the sizes, to make people feel good, they lie. They'll say, a 36-inch jean is actually a 32. So you feel good about yourself squeezing into, I wear a 32 jean. The jeans have been growing as much as your waist size has been growing over here. And they con you.
Oh, those bastards. I wear a 33.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
pretty regularly. You
could be
I have gained weight since Debbie has been home.
Good.
Well, no, because it's all the wrong stuff, man. It's all like,
like I said, I date food.
Muted my mic. Hello?
Hello? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Stuff that I would not normally buy, when she was commuting from LA. But, so a couple of days ago, I'm like, putting my pants on. I'm like, I'm going to get fat. And the last thing I want to do is get fat because it's so hard to lose it.
It's called company.
Yeah. So I said, please, don't kill me with your love. Just stop. Because really, I do I don't eat that much. And I guess I'm considered lucky. I have friends that live to eat, and boy, it shows.
I love to eat too, but
but you're a twig. How do you manage that? Like,
I don't know. I've got a high metabolism. I'm always buzzing around, but I did put on weight when I was in France with my daughter because it was like,
but nothing.
We were eating some really good bread for breakfast. Then we go out for lunch, and it's like sitting out on these.
Ever since I've known you, you've been really, really skinny.
Yeah, that's like my dad. Irish twigs. When the family gathering of the ancestors was a potato, that was a banquet. And I think the genes got formed from that. But so anyway, we started off talking about waist, and we've gone through waist size now.
Right.
It was amazing how you could change the spelling of a word but still keep the thread.
Exactly.
Oh, I like
that wasn't even planned.
No, that's just an interesting play on words. But we have to wake up, seriously. It's like, if you want to live to be older than you are today, avoid the bus coming down the road. Pretty easy to do, but avoid the fork full of poison that you're stuffing in your face.
I know, and I think it's harder and harder. You know, there's a shocking statistic and a shocking wave of colon cancers in younger people in this country. I don't know if it's worldwide. I know it's in this country where they're like people, you know, in their 20s and 30s are getting this in huge numbers, and you can only attribute it to
Hot noodles,
the processed foods, right? I mean, what else, you know?
Yeah, have you seen that scandal? And well, scandal, it's like the news that's breaking about a lot of kids in dorms or kids they first leave home don't know how to cook pot noodles. It's available in 7-Eleven. It's available in anywhere.
Right.
24/7, just pour some hot water in and that's called cooking. The
Right.
chemicals in that are enough to kill a horse, let alone some young aspiring, you know, take care of your body as well as your brain. If you've got one, you wouldn't be buying bloody pot noodles.
And, you know, and if our government was a little more active, like, you know, with the regulations like they are in the European Union, that would help as well.
Yeah, but I got to say, those regulations that they have in Europe come from the common sense of it's an old country where people have been you know, it's an agricultural based country. And a lot of America is agricultural too, but the idea of growing your own few cabbages and lettuce and tomatoes and then storing them for the winter really caught on over there. I don't know if it was economic because of the Second World War. People were like, you know, in between the bomb rubble, they could just plant a tomato plant or something. It's in the genes. People look to the soil to feed them. Over here, the topsoil's gone with the consciousness, and it's just like, blame someone and put your hand out. You know, Uncle Sam wants you. And now the people are saying back, hey, Uncle Sam, do me a favor and another favor and do me another favor. And it's like, take. Things aren't better in Europe, but they eat better. So there's a kind of a paradoxical question. Things are just as bad in Europe.
Oh, well, clearly.
Mentally. It's just the food isn't so bad. That's all.
Geez, when I go to England and I won't say.
Gee, you go there. Well, you go up north, don't you?
Yeah, you go up north.
I have to say very nice things. And I'm looking forward to, I just heard from a cousin of mine called Malcolm Kernan. I've never met him.
Oh.
But he's a relative not that far back who lives in the Yorkshire, where my dad was a Yorkshireman. He was born in Yorkshire. He was an Irishman. But he lives in the cottage, this cousin of mine, lives in the cottage where a shepherd called Kernan lived in the 17th century, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
So, and he didn't even know that his own relative, I said, blimey, they must be very inbred, the Kernan in that area, but they weren't. They've been floating around since the mid-18th century up there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't want to
be. You didn't know anything about that?
No. I don't want to be knocking the north because I'm going to be playing up there soon.
Look, I love Manchester. I love the little village where my wife comes from. It's just, you know, the food can be a challenge.
I want to go and see Jon Snow. Jon Snow, the North.
Who?
Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. You know Jon?
I'm probably the only person on the planet that hasn't watched it.
Well, you should just check out.
I tried to get into it, man. It was just one of those shows because everyone was talking about it, and I just couldn't. I for whatever reason, maybe it was my ADHD or whatever. Who knows?
It was really good. I mean, it got on the map. I just remember the first few episodes was like massive amounts of nudity, and it was like
that I remember. Which is
full on nudity all over.
Hold your attention for a minute.
Yeah, it's like, okay, did people not bother to just wear clothes over there? But there was a lot of willy chopping and like shaming and like incest, and I was like, wow, this is all the makeup of a modern show right here. It's so weird.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Maybe I'll try it again. I mean, I seriously did try. Maybe I just was in the wrong head, you know?
I mean, yeah. Tisha hasn't seen it. So I think I only got as far as like just touching the third season. And of course, I've forgotten what happened. I just know it was pretty pictures and nakedness.
Right.
But the plot, I could think I could go again. And I do remember Jon Snow at the north, and the people over the other side of that wall were pretty scary. But we're going to play to people from over the wall in Glasgow in December. Excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When are you going back for rehearsals? Soon, right?
Yeah, Saturday I'm leaving.
Oh, like this Saturday.
This Saturday, yeah.
Wow.
And then it'd be good to see the fellas.
Yeah, it'd be good to see them.
Yeah.
You know, the fact you just brought up performing, you know, I've been watching the internet's been blowing up recently. Well, the internet, I say the internet, YouTube. There's this vocal coach, Ken Tamblyn, who self-professed vocal genius. He turned down Journey. He turned down Motley Crue. Of course, they find out that this is all, you know, fabricated.
Yeah.
And he's got this vocal academy. And then these internet sleuths have uncovered the fact that during a recent live performance, he was miming to his own vocal.
Oh, God.
And, you know, and using tracks and stuff. And, you know, it's interesting. You guys have never used backing tracks for anything.
No.
Let alone you miming your own vocal. And man, there, you know, it's rampant out there. You know, I know guys, and I'm not going to say who the bands are or who the guys are. Their job is to run the Pro Tools rig.
Yeah.
Side stage. And that Pro Tools rig has everything on it, from lead vocals to background vocals to, you know, and now, to be fair, in some cases, the lead vocal is there in the event of an emergency, but even then, is that okay?
Oh,
you know, let's say you lose your voice, right?
And the sound guys, what's that wheezing? Oh, we're relying on the live sound, right?
Right. If you were to lose your voice,
don't do
would you resort to using a track and miming it for your audience, or would you just cancel the show?
Yeah, I would cancel the show
and reschedule
it. Never cancel the show because I've lost my voice.
No, it's what your voice has just really been. I mean, you know, you're no spring chicken anymore. No. And it sounds exactly the same as it did when you were 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting this year because I've had a few wheezes coming out from post-COVID moments, but we'll see.
Well, but, you know, and I was going through all your solo material because, as some people may know, we're going to be doing a solo. Sai's going to be doing a solo tour that I'm going to be involved with next year. Some of those vocals, man. Although now the tracks I was going through were live already, but those are not easy vocals.
They are to me. Yeah, because it's all I know. But I have to be truth transparency. We have taken to using a couple of little sample lengths that Adam, the drummer, will tap on his pad.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's just like what's the track? Is it Saved by Zero that it starts with that drum thing?
That.
Yeah, I mean that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like
full
the Eagles. Like so there's this guy out there called he's got a website called Wings of Pegasus. Sorry, it's a YouTube channel, and he takes this software and analyzes the vocal performance of all these artists to expose them for using Autotune or for miming. Just did one on Don Henley. The Eagles are playing here in Vegas at the Sphere. And I don't mind talking about this because Don Henley's a miserable human being, but
apparently
he is miming his vocal at the Sphere. And they showed it. You know, they laid a recording of a previous performance over this one, and there's no disputing it. You know, your human voice could not.
Yeah.
It couldn't ever be that exact, right?
So if you were doubling.
So he uses this to expose like Autotune and miming. Now, Autotune, to me, that's no big deal. All the greatest singers use it in one way or another, whether they know it or not. And I don't
an effect.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, and using Autotune. What is the point if you've got a tremendous performance and there's one little flat note? To me, that's just using a production tool. Now, there's the extremes, you know, share track, that's all Autotune.
Oh, yeah.
But that was used almost as an effect. So I don't feel the same about Autotune as I do about miming.
I know, you know, what makes a live performance good is that there's no safety net.
Right.
And what makes a good artist is they're prepared to do their high wire act with no safety net.
Right.
And what they rely on is the audience is the safety net to catch them with a kind of a connection and go, you're doing this for us and we are you and you are we as a community. And so at that point, the content of the song becomes as important as the bloody performance. I mean, okay, if you're off the whole night and you're drunk, like bloody the guy from Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, no, there's no auto-tune that's going to help that.
Or him, Perry Farrell. I mean, he's just punching out. I don't know who he should be punching himself.
That's another thing. I mean, you take a band that's given such a wonderful second chance.
Yeah,
I went to see them with my friend's band. We talked about it. This is where I hurt my foot with Love and Rockets, and they played the Fontainebleau Beautiful Room here. I mean, I left after the first song.
Really?
It was just
your foot was hurting that much.
Well, on top of that, so were my ears, and to be given an opportunity like that and then squander it.
What did they do?
In kind of behavior,
Yeah. What happened in Boston? I mean, you followed the story more than me, but
yeah. Well, it depends on who you talk to. So his wife came out with a statement that said that the stage volume was too loud. He couldn't hear and he got frustrated. But, you and I know how this really works. They're all on in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
So that's just bullshit. So
I don't use in-ear monitors.
No, you guys don't, but a lot of people do. And that takes away all of that kind of I mean, you can still get too much stage volume, sure. But the guitar tech, who was Dave Navarro's guitar tech, and one of the other techs were on a podcast recently, and they said he's just been out of it. He's drinking before gigs and doesn't drink necessarily on stage that much. He always has a bottle of wine. They said substances. They weren't specific. And you know what it's like being on the road. It's exhausting. So if you couple that with substances and not getting enough sleep, and you're already dealing with maybe some emotional things. I mean, he just
lost it, right?
Seemingly lost it out of nowhere. And I guess the fight continued backstage too. And he took another shot at Navarro. And, so here's a band that had a real opportunity and just squandered it.
Sounds like envy to me, because the guy I would want to go and see out of that is Dave Navarro, is the guy carrying the talent, right?
And he's a sweetheart. I was in the elevator with him when I hurt my foot. And, again, I didn't have a pass on, and he's just nodding, going, "Hey, man." And then when I music supervised the Gong Show years ago in LA, he was one of the judges one night. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah. Generally good talent softens people's edge. It's like when you're awake in your own nightmare that things aren't going to plan and you're losing your shit, literally. There's two ways of dealing with it: owning it and dealing with that limitation, or denying it and becoming a really angry person.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this guy, Perry Farrell, he's obviously got some issues. I mean, he's done a lot of amazing things. I'm not taking that away.
No, those first two Jane's albums are brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love them. And I listen to them all the time. Here's the thing. He squandered a wonderful opportunity for himself, but he also did a lot of damage to other people.
Yeah.
All the fans that paid good money to buy those tickets to see that band,
the
crews, the opening acts, everyone lost their job. Now, this was 2 months into a 3-month tour, and I don't have to tell you the economics of touring.
Right.
You of all people know.
Yeah.
That last month was the profit.
That's the gravy.
That's the profit, because all of the expenses, the trucks, the buses, the crew, all that. Now, the crew, they just stopped paying them. So those guys are just shit out of luck. But the bus companies and the gear rentals, they're on the hook for that.
Yeah.
And so all of that money wasted and all those people out of jobs. We're talking about these are massive crews on tours like this. Yeah. Every one of those people lost their job. Every one of the bands probably lost money. And the fans were shortchanged and disappointed.
Yeah. Just because he's got an itchy ass crack at the wrong time.
It's just, what a waste, man. What a waste of a wonderful way to end your career. He's 65 years old, right? He could have gone out on this tour. It was sold out almost everywhere. You know, they were playing big, beautiful theaters, and it was just squandered.
Stupid. Oh, well, there's another term for the
Inexcusable.
word waste. We
Yeah.
kicked off with one kind of waste, we went to the other kind of waste, and now we're back to this
Well,
waste.
back to the lip syncing thing. Have you? And you, obviously, you're not going to want to name names, or if you do, I don't care. Have you been on? You've done a lot of these tours with other groups and things like that. Have you run into that sort of thing,
Yeah.
or do you find that the '80s groups are pretty honest to?
Most of the guys that we work with are all straight up,
Yeah.
they've got, but I have come across some people doing a bit of shenanigans here and there. Though I will say that if you look at the old videos, there's one video of when you used to do TV in England, as when you were promoting a band. So we did Red Skies, where there's this green laser flicking over us. We're on a
Mm-hmm.
TV set. That version, I have to sing live. I had to sing
Oh,
live on all those TV things, whereas the rest of the band were told to mime.
you see now, I've done a lot of television, and there's a reason why miming is done on television, especially some live television,
Yeah, because you turn
because
around and
they
grab the
don't have a
mic.
second shot at it, you know. But that's rare. Normally, they would have everybody mime.
Yeah, no, over there it was like the singer sang live, and
Yeah.
they had the 10-second thing. So if I suddenly grabbed the mic and started perverting the lyrics, they could
Right.
bleep it. But I'm glad I did, because unbeknownst to everyone else, the fact that I was singing live earned me extra bits of money from the musicians union, which
Oh,
still
right.
to this day are paying like a few pennies
That's
that were
right. Yeah,
invested
those
in
are
the.
nice payments, man.
Yeah, so I get a nice little pension from
They come with a pension.
the Screen Actors Guild, because you're a walk on one and not just a sort of a
Yeah.
mimer.
I'm not talking about like, obviously most people probably realize that television events like the Super Bowl and things like that
Right.
are mostly mimed, and they have to be. There's so many moving parts. There's so many things going on. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, what I'm talking about is, someone playing Red Rocks,
Yeah,
and
no,
a
it's all
big rock
bullshit.
band, and all the vocals are on a Pro
Yeah,
Tools rig,
it's total bullshit. And then I would go back to say to, the hyper bowl of the Super Bowl, everything is more, more, more. To quote
Right.
myself, how much is enough?
Right.
How much can you cram into those 15 minutes of
Well, I mean,
entertainment?
hence why things have to be tracked.
I think it's only now that people were watching the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift more than the middle thing this year, which is good on her. She's like, I was just thinking that how much more can they pack into that machine of the NFL?
Who the hell knows?
Yes, I mean it's massive. I have to respect some of the guys that have kind of got the whole hyperbole thing down, and the Taylor Swift story was the perfect thing. Get her to date some guy who's in the winning team, and it's like a soap opera within a rock opera within a
Yeah,
bloody
you can't tell me that the commissioner wasn't thrilled at that situation.
massive. I mean, that's a kind of a glade. What's the word I'm looking for now? A glade day, where you mix glorious and a payday
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
So funny. Now the thing is, how does it go on from there? More is more is more is more is more. In the end, it'll be an hour of middle bits, and then the game will only be 15 minutes long, because people get up and walk around, and just as long as they keep an eye on the score.
I went to my first Raiders game last Sunday.
Oh yeah,
At the new Allegiant Stadium, which by the way is mind blowing. The Browns were in town, and for those of you that don't know, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I am a tortured Browns fan.
As you should be.
It's not a fun place to be, but anyway, I went to this game with another friend of mine who's from Cleveland, lives here in Vegas, and they had a halftime band. The band War, remember War?
Yeah, I love them.
Low Rider. And they were good, man. And I know the Vegas house band. They're friends of mine, a lot of them. And those guys were playing live and doing it live, and it sounded good. I mean, the delay in that massive place is like, you have to use ears,
sure,
because of just the reverberation. But it was nice to see a halftime band, and they were actually playing their instruments and singing live.
And the right demographic too.
Yes, totally.
That's a really good thing.
Totally. That's an amazing, I haven't been to a pro NFL game in a long time. And let me tell you, that is an auditory like assault
Yeah.
for 4 hours.
Isn't
Just
that where they're going to have the Super Bowl every year? Like they're building Vegas to be like that's where they
no,
should have.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Really?
Because they have to move it around. But
Well, do they? Because it's been in New Orleans like so many times, and it's
yeah,
been in.
but if you have a proper stadium, but they're not going to put it there all the time. I don't think. They're just getting ready to implode the Tropicana to build a big baseball stadium. Now, I got to tell you, I don't know where people are going to park, man. Like to get to Allegiant Stadium, your choice is to park in one of their lots for $120
Jesus
to park.
Christ.
So we drove over to Buddy's house, who lives on the west side there above the stadium. And we just Ubered down and got close and then walked.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
When it's $120 just to park.
Do you guys ever hear of like a railway network? Like in England, you can get to for £2, you can be on the tube and get to the Chelsea Stadium, Arsenal Stadium, Spurs Stadium.
Well, I used to go to Yankee Stadium in New York on the subway.
Yeah.
It was great.
What you should do with build stadiums is build stadium where actually people live. Not, in Denver too, they had these things.
Do live kind of around there. I mean,
they do, but they haven't built the network, the railroad. I mean, for $120 to park your car.
Right. Insane. Now, my tickets were comped and,
okay, so you had to pay something.
So I was willing to pay the $120 parking, but my buddies were like, let's not do that. That's stupid. So we wound up killing time at a bar and then Ubering. And then on the way out, we did the same thing. There's a bar right by the stadium. We got there and we chilled out for a while. Then once things cleared out, we were able to get an Uber back. How
much did you pay for a drink though? I bet those were top.
I don't remember. It's interesting.
You don't remember. You must have paid a lot.
Well, you know what it is? It's like when you're in a place like that, you're going to pay what you pay. Right. So I don't even, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But what was interesting is they had these long coolers, right, along a wall that were blocked in with a big glass window. And you walk up to this gate and you tap your credit card and the gate opens. And you walk in and you take what you want and then you walk out the other side. And it automatically knows what you bought and charges your card.
Wow.
Like I've seen those in airports, recently, their Amazon stores.
Yeah.
So that was nice because you didn't have to wait in the stupid beer line if you just wanted to grab like a tall boy or something.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. And the only issue there is you've only got one pair of hands to grab stuff.
Well, you're only allowed two. You're only allowed two at a time.
I was going to say.
For the obvious reasons, I think.
Because you could train your kid.
Exactly.
You get twins.
But that was nice because you did, the bars are always packed. So you just, tap your card, walk in, grab and walk out, and that's it.
Yeah. I always had this little guy that was, where is he? This is my little guy's very useful. Grabbing the extra beer. This gives me like, I'm not a fan. Why
do you have those? Like, why?
Oh, these are my. When I was living on the farm, I came out the front door and the dog had chewed one of my daughter's dolls, and her hands were sticking out the ground, and I was like, ah. And so I just put them on my fingers, and this guy was born.
It's great.
It was headless. Anyway, so I would use him in an Amazon store where I could grab the extra bottle.
Well, yeah, they don't let you do that. So I think they were like, $15 for like a 24 ounce. I mean, you're going to pay, you're there, you're a captive audience. You're going to pay whatever they're asking. So I don't even bother checking.
Did they have a good alcohol-free beer for yours truly?
Yes, actually they did. I don't remember what it was.
Because I'm always going to be checking. And this is the time of the slot where I promote Zero Guinness. Oh man, that's the best freaking thing.
Are we sponsored by them?
Well, I'm sponsoring them right now because
Right.
I'm buying quite a few. It's just a delicious drink,
I
everybody.
still have to try it.
Man, it's like if you weren't told there was no alcohol in it, it would be after like, man, I can drink a lot. I've had 6 of these and I'm not feeling, you know, it's really good. And we've said it before and I'll say it again. And if anybody comes out there and they want to bring me something on the road, bring me a 0 Guinness.
There you go.
Because that's all I'll be drinking.
There you go.
Yeah, sponsored. So I'm out there looking for, because I think it's a huge movement of people dropping the alcohol and
I just read an interesting article that the younger generations are dropping it.
Yeah.
You know, what is it? Gen Z. I get confused at the different labels.
They're dropping it along with dropping a lot of acid. That's the problem.
Well, you know, that's the thing. They're all microdosers.
Yeah. I mean, then they're just changing the buzz. Or sniffing glue again or whatever it is.
Oh,
it's
God.
like, it's weird. It's going to make alcohol seem completely sane. You know. Yeah, man. Well, I pounced this kind of early time on you today.
That's okay. It was good. You know, I had a light mishap, so I hope I look okay. It's not much. I mean, my lighting and stuff. I hope.
Nothing heavy.
I know that I have a face for radio. I'm just saying that my main light fell off the thing, and when I went to put it back on today, it just crumbled the bracket. Yeah, so I had to improvise.
Yeah, sometimes I get the urge to twist something a bit too tight, like this is a bit. Hear that? It's like I need to tighten that with a bit of dental floss. So yeah,
I'm delighted with my new.
They're great, aren't they?
This is attached to the table here.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, it's nice.
So you can just waggle your legs underneath without kicking the mic stand.
Exactly. That's what I was doing, and I was tripping over it too.
Yeah,
terrible.
That's what I do on stage now. Is like I kind of like have to make sure that my one boot is on the base of the stand because I've got this habit of rocking it, and it's like boom, boom, boom.
What I noticed is you always have a corded microphone.
Yes, because our sound guy, Roby, still tells me that the best sound for him is a SM58 through a cable. There's no loss. There's no. Otherwise, I'd be changing the batteries on the thing. They only last for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, they last a little longer than that. But
and the compression goes. And for my kind of dynamic, the way I sing, it stops my voice going thin, and I can use it, pull away, go quiet without it going.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I saw in the people you may know on Facebook, Roby came up on my thing. So I sent him a friend request and I sent him introduced myself to him with a message. He didn't reply.
He's shy.
Yeah.
But
shy or rude?
No, he's not rude.
No.
He knows a lot about sound.
Well, that doesn't mean he's not rude. Most sound men are grumpy.
No, he's not grumpy. He's the opposite of grumpy.
No, I just sent him I work with Si all the time. It's nice to meet you. Heard a lot of good things about you. And he just ignored my message.
Yeah, okay. He's probably, he's living his life. Back of the queue. But anyway, he knows. And I have tried a few mic-free things. And the last time I had it on was the break for Jamie's solo, and I went off to the bathroom, put the mic down, and forgot to turn it off, and was taking a whiz, and I flushed the toilet, and it was like, it's a good job that was all that happened.
I mean, I've done that as a sound person. One of the shows that I mix has a Playboy Bunny bit where she comes out and does a thing, and she's wearing a headset mic, and I just leave it on and I mute it because I can't expect her to, And so I forgot to mute it once, and she walks off stage and starts yapping to one of her friends, and it's blasting through the PA. And she scrambled to find the mute.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of mishaps with the wireless stuff.
And so, there's that, and you put it down, and then I forget where I put it down on the stage. I did have one of the early days in 1983 when we came out on the Phantom store.
They were probably awful then.
It was, but the experience of it was good. Then I tried this whole the mic right here, and I was like, I couldn't get away from the microphone because I need to do a bit of this. I'm one of those guys. I'm old school, and I love the cable, and
Right.
Even Jamie is still on cables.
I know.
We're old school and
It's
we're
fucking
proud
great
about
though.
it.
And the problem with the wireless mics too is if you have a singer that doesn't really understand that you can't walk right up to a monitor or a speaker with that thing in your hand,
Yeah.
you get a lot of that,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
typically make that mistake one time and then their ears are bleeding.
Exactly.
And that's that.
I never, I've done those things and everyone hates you in the band whilst they're the only guys on ears in our band are Rupert, who's got because he likes to have his sounds in a certain perspective that none of us could really deal with to play live. Whereas the rest, Adam has one click in one ear.
Right.
And Dan has just what he likes to hear, which is bass, hi-hat, and me.
Right.
In his thing. And then he hears the rest through
That's the nice thing about ears is you can dial it.
Whereas Jamie
they take a lot to get used to.
Yeah, Jamie and I are just like two Aeolian twins bouncing around in the general mess of it.
Right.
And what we'll do is the monitor guy, if he's any good, we'll just turn it up for certain bits when in certain areas. But I don't even bother getting into that. I kind of go, I know where I need to be to hear it, and then it keeps the sound easy. People have made it so complicated. It's like, it's not rocket science, it's rock and roll has to come from here and out to the audience, and then it comes back at you into here. And the whole
the whole in-ear thing really divorces you from that experience, and it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen singers that are in their in-ears, they're off with the gods singing to Valhalla, and they're like, oh, and they turn around, there's like 200 people. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you minions there. It's like, dude, stay real. Hello.
Yeah, it's disorienting at first, especially.
Yeah, I'm sure one day when I get deaf, which is maybe something I need to address at some point, but I'll think about it then. But for now, ambience is what I like.
I like it.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Cyril. I think we're about out of time.
Yeah.
So this was good.
Yeah, it was. I'll catch up with you during the week, and
we got a lot to talk about.
We'll do the next one.
We have some more guests coming up. We're going to tape one on Friday with a special guest.
Yeah.
We have a couple more guests lined up. That'll happen in the next coming weeks.
Yeah. Plus, we'll be testing the internet out and about in various hotels because
we'll be doing that. We are going to expand the podcast to all the platforms. We're doing that.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, there's that. We're going to have some merchandise.
Yeah, we have some merch coming.
Season.
We have so like and subscribe still on YouTube, please.
Oh yeah.
And lots of cool things coming up. We're gonna be doing a giveaway of some unreleased music.
My music too, right?
Your music. It's primarily your music. I mean, I might put my record on there too.
You should.
Just so people get to hear it.
I mean, your stuff's awesome.
So, but you're some unreleased songs.
Yeah.
We're going to put together a little download link that you can just click on and get some of this stuff that's not available anywhere else.
Fabulous.
For no cost, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, man.
Yeah, man. Super good. All
right.
I'm going to go and do the dishes and do all the other things that people have to do in their lives, and
all your domestic chores.
Yeah, and I'm going to cook those red peppers before they get too manky. Then I throw them out.
Yes, don't waste any food. All right, Cyril.
All right, Dougley. I'll leave it open until it's done.
Yes, sir. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.